Example number 6. A perimeter of Abel's vegetable garden is 160 meters. That is the first sentence. Straight away we come across the word perimeter. Okay, so what does perimeter mean? Here's the formal definition. A perimeter is a path that encompasses or surrounds a two-dimensional shape. What is a two-dimensional shape? It's a shape that has some sort of length and breadth. What's a three-dimensional shape? A three-dimensional shape has length, breadth, and height. This only has length and breadth. So what is a perimeter? In simple terms, it's a distance around the object, along the edges. So if I start at point A and I go all the way to B, down to C, down to D, and come back to A, what is the distance, total distance around that object? That is the perimeter. Okay, so let's look at the second sentence. The vegetable garden is rectangular. That's straightforward. I've got two rectangles on the board here because I'm going to show you two different ways of approaching the problem. Okay, so the vegetable garden is rectangular and we come across the word exceeds again. Okay, so you should be familiar with it. The length exceeds the breadth by 40 meters. That means the length is 40 meters more than the breadth. Okay, calculate the dimensions of the vegetable garden. In other words, what is the length and what is the breadth of the vegetable garden? So now what we can do is, remember, we must start off properly by assigning a variable to the length or to the breadth. It depends on how you want to start. Let's look at the first option here. Okay, so what do we know? That the length exceeds the breadth by 40 meters. So let's start with that first. So let the length equal to and the breadth. We need to assign a variable to each side. Okay, now what do we know? We do not know what the length is, we don't know what the breadth is, but what we know is that the length is 40 meters more than the breadth. Okay, so if I assume that the breadth is x meters, okay, let's say the breadth is 20 meters, then the length will be 40 meters more. So that will be 40 plus 20, which is 60. So in this case, in terms of whatever the value of the breadth is, the length is going to be x plus 40. Alright, so we are defining the length as x plus 40 and the breadth as x. So now, what do we know? Opposite sides are equal. So if this is x plus 40, this will also be x plus 40. Okay, that is the length. We decided to call the breadth x there. Okay, while I'm on this example, what happens if you decided to do it the other way? Okay, let's say here you want to let the length equal to x. So the breadth will equal to, how will we label the breadth? So what do we know? That if the length is 100, okay, the breadth will be 40 less than the length. That means the breadth will be 60. So if I'm starting from the length, then if I want to work out the breadth, it's going to be 40 less than the length. Okay, so that it depends on how you begin, how you start. Okay, so in this case, my length is x, opposite sides are equal here, and the breadth will be x minus 40. Alright, so that's labeling the sides in terms of a variable x. Now, right, so perimeter now. If you're given the perimeter, you are going to be using the perimeter formula. If you're given the area, you'll be using the area formula. Alright, so perimeter. Remember, the perimeter means the distance around the object. So basically, the distance from there to there, you add up all the sides. So, in a simple rectangle, if you have a length and a breadth, opposite sides are equal. So if I want to work out the perimeter here, okay, so how many lengths do we have? We have a length here, we have a length there. So it's a length plus the breadth plus the length plus the breadth. So how many lengths we have? We have length plus length is 2 lengths, and breadth plus breadth is 2 breadths, or width. So that is the formula for perimeter. So let's form our equation. We know that perimeter is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the breadth. So now, do we know what the perimeter is? Yes, let's write it down here. We're given perimeter is 160. So we got 160 is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the breadth. So what is the length? The length we identified as x plus 40, and the breadth we labeled it as x. Alright, so now what do we have? We remove the brackets and let's see what type of equation. So 160 is equal to 2 times x, which is 2x, 2 times 40, which is 80, and then we got plus 2 times x, which is 2x there. Alright, so now you can see the highest power here is a positive 1. So therefore this is a simple linear equation. The equation is easy to work out. The main thing is for you to understand the question and how do you assign a variable, how do you relate the sides in terms of the variable, in this case x. Alright, so now we got a linear equation. So I got 2x plus 2x, that will equal to 4x plus 80 is equal to 160. 2x plus 2x is 4x plus 80 is equal to 160. So 4x is equal to 160 minus 80. So 4x is equal to 80. So therefore x is going to equal to 80 divided by 4, which is equal to 20. Okay, so we got x is equal to 20. Now, what did we call x? Right, so you go back. What did we call x? X was defined as the breadth. So therefore, the breadth is equal to 20, what was it? Meters. So don't forget your meters. If you forget your meters, you will not get full marks there. Right. So now, what is the length? The length is x plus 40. So that will be 20 plus 40, which is equal to 60 meters there. So check your answer. Check your answer. The length exceeds the breadth by 40. You can see that was the statement there. Where is it here? The length exceeds the breadth by 40. Here's a 20 is the breadth, and the length is 40 more, which is 60. Now, what is the perimeter? So, let's see if this works out now. So, the perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the breadth. So, what is the length? The length is 60. So, 2 times 60 is 120. The breadth is 20. 2 times 20 is 40. So 120 plus 40 will give you 160 there. So you know it works out perfectly. Alright, now what happens if you chose this technique? Let me do this one here quickly. So we know the same story here. Perimeter is equal to 2 times length plus 2 times breadth. What is the perimeter? The perimeter is 160 is equal to 2 times the length plus 2 times the breadth. So what did I call the length here? If I'm doing it this way, I called my length x and my breadth will be x minus 40. Okay, so now 160 is equal to 2 times x, which is 2x, 2 times x there, which is 2x again, 2 times minus 40 is minus 80. Alright, so now I got 160 plus 80 is equal to 2x plus 2x, which is 4x. So then 160 plus 80, which is 240, is equal to 4x. So therefore 240 divided by 4 is equal to x. So now 240 divided by 4 is, so x is equal to 60. Now what did we define x as if we are using this method? We defined x here as the length. So therefore the length is equal to x, which is equal to 60 meters. Doesn't matter which way you work it out, your length is 60 either way. You can see that. Your breadth is defined as x minus 40. So it's going to be x minus 40. So that will be 60 minus 40. 60 minus 40, which is equal to 20 meters there. Alright, so your final answer must be the same no matter which way you deal with it.